All righty, we are in the house. It is, what day is it? It's May 3rd. Okay, we are almost at Star Wars Day. So happy May 4th. I'll say that ahead of time. If you are a Star Wars fan, woohoo! All right, happy May 4th. May the 4th be with you. That's it. Yeah.
Happy
Can you
4th.
tell I've had a little bit of too much espresso today or espresso? It's been a wild day of just talking to amazing humans, and here I get to do it all over again with you. Welcome to Marketing Made Easy. My name is Joey Ragona, and in the house I have my good friend Scott Vogel, who you can see his name down there, but I don't have my name yet because I've been messing around with Ecamm, and we're trying something brand new today. And while you say hellos, I'm going to put my name up there. So go for it.
Well, hello, Joey. It's wonderful to be here on episode 100. For you that are watching live, give us a hashtag live. For those of you that are watching on the replay, hashtag replay. And those of you that are not a member of the the Heart-Centered Marketing Club, formerly known as the Strategic Marketing Club, join us at Heart-Centered Marketing Club, where Joey is in there every single day, answering questions, providing value, talking about dream clients, marketing strategy, business mindset, all things to help you build a dream business, live a dream life with dream clients, and do this stuff the easy way instead of all the complex nonsense that's being taught all over the place.
Brilliant intro. Brilliant intro. We got to say some hi to some people.
Did I fill enough dead space for you, Joey?
It's not dead space at all. It's very important space. Who is this? How do I pronounce that name? It's an amazing name. I can't pronounce it. I'm going to butcher it.
That is Laboratorio del Poeta.
I love it. Thank you for helping me out there, Scott. Love to see
No
you here.
problem.
Thank you for being here.
I'm here for it, Joey.
Monica's here. All right. Thank you for being here, Monica. Dan is in the house live. Nice to see you. Nice to see you. And welcome, everybody. As Scott was saying, if you are here live, hashtag live. If you're watching us and you want to smash the hearts or the likes or anything like that, that would be cool. It would help us get some little bit more reach to help more heart-centered people like you. Today, I figured, because we're in the midst of it and you're in the midst of it, we would talk about how to create and deliver a coaching program in under a week. Because you've been in this world now for, not in this world for a week, but in this zone now for a week, creating your brand new landing page opt-in formula workshop, which you're delivering tomorrow. And I just thought we would just go behind the scenes of our brains and let people know how we think about things and what we do to create something in such a short period of time. And preface this conversation that this is not one of those huge guru promise thingies where you have no experience whatsoever and you can come in and just all of a sudden make something happen in a week and make millions of dollars. That's not what this is about. Because we do have a lot of experience behind us. So let's put that out in front first of all. But I believe that a lot of our audience has a lot of expertise and they might get stuck in the perfection syndrome or whatever.
Yeah.
So take it away. What are your first thoughts on this?
Well,
and by the way, hang on 1 second.
Sure, you asked me to go and then you truncate me. That's
exactly.
Scott, what do you think? No, wait, don't say anything.
Let me interrupt you before I interrupt you. If you're watching right now or even on the live or the replay, if you have a question or comments about this, put them in the chat and we will share this conversation or have this conversation with you. So it's a multiple conversation going on. Now I will shut up and let you go.
You sure about that, Joey? It's just like last week. We didn't even get to the topic from last week, which we'll have to probably get to in another week, but whatever it is. So two things. Well, you said one thing, and I'm going to add a second thing to what you said. You said, the perfectionist syndrome, and I'm going to add to that the imposter syndrome, because I think the two are hand in hand. It's got to be perfect. It's got to be so much, and you got to have this, and you got to have that, and you got to have this, and that, and that, and that, and that, and that. And, the imposter syndrome is probably the flip side of it, where it's like, who am I to do this? Who am I to get on live? Who am I to get on and do a podcast? Who am I to get on and go live every week? Who am I to write a blog post and do a podcast and share this information? To me, it goes back to, And I ask this question of somebody today: what do you know that others don't know that they need to know? Every single person knows something that others don't know that they need to know. And it could be as simple as just how your journey to learn this thing. You've heard me talk about when I was speaking and I was a highest paid marketing speaker in the industry I was in. And people were like, well, everybody else is speaking about marketing. Why are you getting paid so much? I was like, because I'm sharing my experience, my journey, my stumbles, my challenges, what I went through, my experiences. I remember the dean of the university. He called me into his office one day and he goes, Scott, do you want to travel around the world speaking, training, consulting, or do you want to teach? I was like, that's easy. I want to travel around the world speaking, training. I love teaching, but when given the choice, that's what I wanted to do because people, I had a mentor that taught me way back when how to get into the consulting world. And he worked for Interstate Canteen. He worked for them for like 60 years, retired with his gold watch and his pension, had a nice house and blah, blah, blah. And every year I would get a new job because I would always ascend to the next level, the next level, the next level. I wanted to run this club and I wanted this position. And I remember calling him and telling him, Mickey, I just got hired as the assistant general manager of one of the most exclusive private clubs on the Eastern Seaboard. It was like, to me, the job of all jobs. And he got pissed at me. And he was like, why can't you just stay in one place? And when I was speaking and training and like what we do, people are like, my God, you've done so many things and you bring so much value to the table. So I'm long thing to you bring value to the table based on your experiences. Nobody has done what you've done the way you've done it. You and I both know that I spent the last 2 years launching over 100 products and building products and funnels and launches and email sequences that will serve me somewhere. Nobody's had that experience. Are there other people? You and I talk about writing copy. Yeah, you can go read this book and that book and take this course, but if you haven't written 200 sales letters, then you're really not going to be able to, even if you studied everything and said, okay, here's the formula. So going back to the perfectionist syndrome, and the topic at hand is just get it out there. And I'm going to kind of answer the question is, yeah, 3.5 weeks ago, you and I were just chatting and you were like, what are we talking about? And it came down to, we've always played with landing pages and we look at them and it's the first step in the journey in the online world is how does somebody come to know you? And whether it's a landing page on your website or whether it's a Google Doc or whether it's a WordPress site or whether it's a Facebook page or a LinkedIn profile or a YouTube, it doesn't matter. What's the first thing they see? And we don't have to have a fancy website built with 25 pages in terms of use and privacy policies and this and that. And, oh, I don't have my services. I don't have my portfolio. I don't have my testimonials. You were like, put it out there. And so what do? We talked about it on the show. And then we did another show. And then people are like, hey, this should be a course. And so what do?
So what is the process of bringing, like, from when you decided there's going to be a course? Like, I want to get into your brain. Like, how did you start to outline it? Like, let's get into the specifics of that. Like, how do you do that? So
well, the first thing I did was figure out how I was going to present it. How long was I going to present it? How was I going to do? What was the format in which I was going to present it at? And for me, it's not a webinar. It's not me talking head for 2 days because I know from doing hundreds of seminars in front of people what works. And what works for me is getting on, teaching them a little something. And you and I talked about this. Let's talk about this point, this one point. And it was the outline. You know that I've got the 5 elements of successful landing page. But before that, there's 4 questions that I want you to answer. So I've got 9 things I'm going to cover in 2 days. So that's like the outline for it.
Okay, so you outlined what you're going to teach them. And is that like, do you get into the specifics of like, how soon were you ready to deliver? Like, how long did it take you to outline it? Like, I want to get into like nitty gritty details because people listening because there's a lot of questions out there. Like, how do you outline programs, what software do you use for it? Do you mind map? Do you list? There's all these things that I think are important to the conversation. And I think we approach it both differently and both at the same in a lot of same
So
ways too, right? So
great,
how
great
did
question, Joey. I whiteboarded it. I went up on the whiteboard, and in fact, I just erased it about an hour ago. But I
yeah,
whiteboarded it, and I said, okay, what am I going to cover? First thing I want to cover is this because that's important. Then I need to cover this and this and this. And there's the 4 things I needed to cover before I covered the 5 things. And I was like, okay, here's the 9 things I've got to cover. Then I said, okay, how am I going to cover this? The first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to present this one piece of information first. And I'm going to ask them what their piece is. So, like, for example, you know that to me, first, it's the one big idea. What's the one big idea of anything? And I don't care if it's a landing page, I don't care if it's a workshop, if it's a webinar, if it's a program, if it's a course. What's the one thing that you could teach for them to take away? And for me, that's the one big idea. And for me, the one big idea comes down to what's the problem and what's the promise. Because at the end of the day, and I like to go back to what you talk about, and I've used this twice this week, is if we were sitting in a bar
hmm
and the dude or dudette was talking to the bartender and saying, "Oh my God, this is what's going on in my life, and I'm this, and I'm emotion negative, and blah," and then you're sitting there. You wouldn't go say, "Hey, I got this course out in the car for you." You'd say,
right.
"I hear what you're saying, and I can probably help you." So how could you help them? You know what the problem is, and that's the call out that I wrote about in the group, the club last week. Was the call out was, "Hey, guess what? Call out to the person. The first thing you got to do in your course, your program, your webinar, your seminar, your book is look, here's what's going to happen. Here's the one thing that you're going to learn from this thing." I talked to you about a landing page I was looking at earlier today that had 27 different things going on. It was just insane. Focused on the one thing. And the one thing was, what's your one big idea? So that when somebody comes to you, there's clarity, there's focus. Instead of, well, I use this in my emotion marketing mastery course is here's the one thing I'm going to teach you. I'm not going to teach you about this and this and this and this. And I could teach you that later on. And so that was the beginning of it. Was there was 9 things I needed to cover in
Cool.
order for them to build a successful landing page. So I went
I, th-
backwards and said, okay, here we go. And I
I
do
think
it in
what's really
power.
important. Oh, sorry, man.
Go
I
on.
think
No,
what's
go.
really important to note is that you sold the program based on the 5 elements only.
Yeah.
Like you didn't have this outlined before you sold it. And that's
No.
this is what I want to get into. I get all the stuff is cool, like to teach them that, but I want to get into more of the mindset of that. Like, how do you sell something that you haven't even created yet? And then you have only a week to do it. So why aren't
Yeah.
you freaking out? Like all of these things, because I know that people listening are, I remember being there. Like, I'm like, how am I going to supposed to do this and trying to be perfectionist and all this stuff. And so I think that it would really help everyone if they got into our brains a little bit and how we
Yeah.
actually just do this stuff, right? So
Definitely.
the first thing is we're both on the same page with
Yeah. Yeah.
that we're selling it before it's even built. It's like it's kind of
Totally.
an idea. Here's 5 things that I think you should know, and I'm going to create a course out of that. And that was it,
That
right?
was it, nothing more than that. It was okay. If you want to build a successful landing page, there's 5 major elements that need to be in it. That was it. That
Yeah.
was the whole thing. And then I built a page, an offer page. And that offer page could have been a Google Doc, and the
Yeah.
opt in could have been a Google form that cost absolutely nothing. And I'm
Yeah.
probably going to throw one of those together in the next couple of weeks just as fun. And that's what it was. And then from there, I was like, okay, in order for them to do these 5 things, what else do they need to know? And then I thought about, okay, there's a couple of preparatory things that I gave away as a bonus in a course. And I said, there's a little splinters in that course that I want you to understand. And I'm going to teach it to them anyway. And like you said, I had the 5 elements, I put it together, and I said, here's the program. And it's a beta program. I'm going to give you all this value. That was the key piece was, and there are people that are like, forget about the course, Scott. I want to spend 45 minutes with you. You're brilliant in what you do. And I'm not tooting my horn. This is what they're saying. And I know, and this is an important piece, I know that the value that I'm going to deliver, it doesn't matter if I get on the call tomorrow and I'm a bumbling idiot. Of course, I'm not going to be because I've spent a lot of time putting it together, but they want to spend time with me. You and I have talked about it. It's like a live event. Why do you go to a live event? Because you want to hang out with Joey. You want to hang out. Why do people come? They want to hang out with us. They want to learn from us. They want to be a part of the energy. They want to be in that ether. So I didn't need the course put together. And that's what I really want to emphasize is you don't need the whole course. I don't even have a course. It's not a course. I'm going to get on tomorrow and I'm going to say, we're going to talk about this thing. Now, what's your piece of this thing? Where are you at with this thing? And now I get to interact with them. I get to help them. I get to transform them and say, that's perfect. Why? Because that's my superpower. If I spend all this time, and by the way, congruently, I'm building something else similarly. And I kept looking at it. And each day I look at it to make it easier because it kind of goes with the landing page opt-in formula. But there's, well, okay, what about the value piece that you're going to deliver? The gift, whatever it is. Go.
Yeah, and I think that what I'm gonna try and keep bringing it back to like the logistics of it, and not so much in the learning of the process of because we've talked about that forever. I want to try to keep it on the logistics of what do we do actually, so people can do it themselves. The most important thing is for me, as you know, is the co-creation, and that's all of what I teach in Atlas, which is like, hey, just because I'm at the point now in where everybody's going through Atlas now, where they're like, when do I learn how to create the program? And I thought this would be serendipitous, if that's the right word, of talking about this because you're going through this now, you're creating it, and I'm getting to the point of teaching it. And really, I looked at the module of teaching, like, okay, here's how you kind of do the program, and it's the shortest lesson ever in the entire thing because it's really not that difficult. It's all about what you just said. It's like, here's the idea, and you sell the idea before anything else. So you didn't go and create the program and then try and sell it. You got great feedback from the world and said, this is amazing. You should make a course out of this. But that was it. It was like, okay, I'm going to make a course. Here's how much it's going to be and when I'm going to do it. And you waited for the first sale to come in. Correct. And then you started building.
Actually, I waited until all the sales were in before I started building it.
Okay. So let's talk about that for a second. When
I think I launched it a week ago Friday, so like 10 days ago. And it was 5 days. I kind of sold it out, and that brought me, because I told you I wanted 12, and I got to 12 on Thursday, and that was it. And by the way, the process, Joey, I talked about it in the impromptu I did with you. I have never, ever done anything so easy in my life, ever.
Thank you for that, by the way.
It was just, and I want to emphasize this. It was like, you were like, one day, you were like, Scott, why don't you just sell on the commode? You didn't use the word commode. I don't like to use the words you use, but that's just you. And it was, I put Facebook on my phone. I'm taking it off now just because, people, and this goes to the trilogy that I've been playing with lately. That's really important in this is build a tribe, serve, don't sell, and do it on their time. And what I learned from you with this process was, I want to get you on a Zoom call. I want to go 21 levels deep. I want to make you cry. Right, Holly? Hi, Holly. I want to get to the depths of it. I want to fix your problem and move on. And not everybody wants that. Most people don't. In this day and age, they need to think about your question, and they may not answer it for 3 minutes or 2 hours or the next day. Yeah. And it made it so much easier and less pressured. But going back to the question at hand was, I put those 9 things on the whiteboard. And then I sat here and I said, okay, the first thing I want to talk about is the one big idea. And I made a slide in PowerPoint. And then the second thing was I want to talk about the emotions they're experiencing. And I put a slide and it says, what emotions are they experiencing? And then the third thing was, what are their current thoughts? What are they thinking about in regards to their situation? And then the fourth thing was future casting. Where do I need to take them? To what emotional state? Those are my 4 slides. And then I duplicated each of the slides and said, okay, what's yours? Who's first? Who's next? Because I'm going to say, what's the one big idea? I'm going to talk about why it's so important. It's the problem. It's a solution. And then I'm going to go, okay, what's yours? And I'm going to go around and I'm going to listen to each one and I'm going to comment on it. Why? Because I know what I'm talking about. You know.
Okay, so I'm gonna pull you back out because you're going into the weeds. That's like how you're going to deliver. I want to know how you created the thing. That's where I want to stay, if we can, because it's like, like what you just described. I want to talk about for a second because it's different from what I do. Like you put in the 4 slides, right? And then you said, okay, these are the 4 things I'm going to teach, and then you kind of expanded on those, and that's like a more of a linear process, like I guess a smarter way of doing it, I guess. I don't think that way.
That's just the way I do it. I'm not saying it's smarter. That's my process. Everyone's got their own process. But to me, it's like, I don't want to go mind map something and then have to go here and then go here. The end result tomorrow is I'm going to show you those slides. So I put the first slide and said, okay, here's what I'm going to talk about. I don't have notes or anything because I don't need notes. You don't need notes. You already know what you're going to talk about. So put the slide. And I don't care if it's in PowerPoint or if it's in Google Slides or what we did the other day. I take my thing here and I could say, okay, here's the first thing I'm going to talk about.
Yeah.
And that's it. It doesn't have to be this, it's got to be this amazingly fancy thing. It doesn't matter. You've heard me say this. Go.
No, go ahead.
Here's the secret to building a landing page that will make you a lot of money. That's it right there.
I can't read it.
Exactly. That's the point I'm making is it doesn't matter. You're like, I can't read it. What is it? You're not like, it's not a fancy presentation with the text moving and that. And I'm a video creator and that blah, blah, blah. And I do all that stuff. But when we're talking about this, keep it so simple. And look at it and say, how do I make it simpler and easier? Because the value comes in your wisdom, your knowledge, your experience that they don't have. And it doesn't have to be complicated in fancy presentations and software. You and I are constantly, what software do I use to do this and make this do that and this and that and that? Get on Facebook and go live. It's free. Go on YouTube.
So I'll share like what I do with my process, because when first of all, there's 2 distinctions here that I think everyone needs to know in what you're doing, because you're doing like a 1-day or 2-day workshop. That's different than me delivering over 12 weeks. So the preparation time or how we approach it is a little bit different. And because I've done a 1-day workshop and it was a little bit more intensive work to get the thing done, because it was like I have to deliver all this in 1 day. So the way that I do it, even when I'm still doing that, delivering a 1-day workshop, my mind is all over the place and I have all kinds of different applications or methods of dumping my brain, mind maps, Evernote, whiteboards, and my brain's not satisfied with one thing. That's just the way I am. And so I have to see something different in order for me to progress. So, and then the reason I'm sharing this with you and the world here is because I'm pretty sure that there's other people who may think that that's not a right way of doing something. I think the right way of doing something is how you think, period. It's not anybody else's methods, but that's why I wanted to have this conversation, because we think the same, but we also think differently, and we operate the same. We also operate differently. Right. And so the way that I put things together is the same thing. Is like, here's the outline, sell the outline, and that's it. It's very simple. Here's the topics. I don't even know what's going to be inside the topic. It's like, these are the high level topics I'm going to talk about. and then I sell the thing, and then I worry about filling in the blanks later. That's how I sell it. And then I think that's the easiest way to do it, because if you're doing it over 12 weeks, like the way that I do it, um, is all you have to worry about is the first week. Like, that's it. And it's like, here's the thing I'm going to teach you. And then it's like you get feedback from the audience. It's like, okay, what worked for you, or what's missing here? And they will tell you. And then the next week, you kind of got an idea because you've got an outline. Like, okay, week 2 is going to be this, but you haven't filled anything out. And from the conversation, you fill in the gaps a lot easier, week to week to week to week. And that's how I build it out. But as on a technical side, if you want to call it that, I've got like multiple monitors here, and basically both of those monitors have all kinds of different ideas flying around in different applications and ideas, because I don't want to limit myself to one area, like one application, to go, dang, I don't have this thing open now, and I forget the idea. I just want to be able to capture the idea and work with multiple areas open. I don't know if that makes any sense.
Okay. So, Joey, while you were talking, I basically did this. And my pen pad, you know me and technology. I love technology, but I also love my pen pad.
Mm-hmm.
There's my program that I'm going to deliver in the next 2 days. That's it. I just wrote it down on a piece of paper. And if
Right.
I wanted to, I could say, okay, first thing we're going to talk about is the one big idea. Now, here's what it's all about. And then the second thing we're going to talk about. Here's what we're going to talk about, one after the other. If nothing else, think about when you go to see a speaker or when you go to a webinar. You don't need all the fancy stuff. And I want to emphasize that it's not about the fancy stuff. It's about the future state. And if I could
Right.
give somebody the result they need and teach them how to do what I know how to do without all the fancy stuff. And yeah, did I need an offer page in Kajabi with a shopping cart and all that? No, I could have gone and just put a PayPal button, or I could have said, here's my PayPal, send me money. And people will. It goes back to, if they want what you're going to deliver and what you promise, they'll get the money to you. Well, do I need Stripe, and do I need PayPal, or do I need Apple Pay, and do I need this? You just need a way for people to get you money. Remember, in the old days, you would send a check in an envelope in the mail and go to the post office and put a stamp on it and handwrite it because you wanted the thing. It's so easy now. So again, to reiterate, stop complicating. Well, my course isn't finished and I've only got 34 modules and it's not complete. It doesn't need to be complete. You need to get people the result that they're looking for, get it out there. And why would you even spend that much time to
Well, yeah, I think that if you look at your pen pad, right, if you had to show up and just teach just from that, could you do it?
Joey, when I first started speaking, I had flip charts with magic markers. There wasn't PowerPoint. There wasn't all that stuff. Now I'm dating myself. I had a flip chart and I wrote on the flip chart. So the answer
Right.
is yes. Is the content the same? Yes. Do I present it a little differently and smoother? Yeah, because after that, I started using an overhead with transparencies. Oh my God. And then I used color transparencies until I broke a case of wine on my transparencies on one trip. And I had nothing. Well, I didn't have nothing. I used to carry around my flip chart pads that were like this monstrous thing. And then I went to that. And then I got to the point where it was just an LCD projector with my laptop. But
Yeah.
let's go back to the original form of communication, making pictures on a stone wall with colors that told the story. As long as you tell the story and give the result, people aren't going to care. I was talking today about a video on a landing page, and people are like, well, it doesn't matter. If you could tell me the secret to solve my problem, I don't really care if it's in, HD and 4K and this and high resolution. pick up your camera, turn it on, and tell me how to solve my problem, and I'll pay you for the answer.
Lysandra wants to know, what do you recommend? Mastermind course, program, boot camp, webinar, mini workshop, and they're confused. This answer is, it depends. It's all going to be.
The answer is yes.
Yeah, it's like, who's the audience? What are you trying to teach? Where do you show up the best? All of these things.
So let's ask those two questions. Who's your audience? And I'm going to ask you this question, Lisandro. What do you know that others don't know that they need to know? That's my first question is, what is it that you're going to teach people? And then from there, and okay, a mastermind is easy, real easy. Show up. We'll talk about it. A course, that takes a lot of work to build a course. A program, depending on a boot camp, a little
course
easier.
And program are the same thing to me.
Right. Of course, a boot camp, a webinar, webinars are pretty easy. Mini workshop, that's what I'm doing for the next 2 days. I'm doing a workshop. That's it. I'm going to show up. I'm going to help people. I'm going to help people get the result that they're looking for. And I'm going to do it in a group and one-on-one so that I make sure that everybody gets what they're looking for.
Yeah, like the format of delivery is like, that's kind of important, but it's, it's more about, like you said, like how can you deliver the result, or an outline of what you can teach somebody. And this is what the whole conversation is about. Like, it doesn't have to be all those answers, and the how come later, and the what is it going to be comes later. That's why I asked you, if you wrote down 5 or 6 points that you wanted to teach, and you just said, here's what I'm going to teach, and you turned on Zoom and people paid you, and you show up on Zoom and you go, okay guys, point number 1 is this, let's talk about that. Like, you could literally do that, correct?
Right now, I could do this right now. We could go.
And that's what I mean. Like, there's
no
prep whatsoever.
No prep whatsoever, no fancy anything. And that's so vital, because the information, the knowledge, the transformation is what's important. How you get there is not. And what I used to do was I used to have these amazing workbooks, Joey, and one day I'll bring them in and show them. I created these incredible workbooks that were phenomenal, and they were detailed, and they were perfect, polished, edited, you name it, fancy covers and everything. And I would have one in front of everybody that was in the workshop. And I said, everything I'm going to talk about is in there. Feel free, read it whenever you want. I may not cover it today, because guess what? I need to cover what's important for you today. What do you need to get out of this? And then we'd go. And I would start teaching but then somebody would say, what about this? And everyone would be like, yeah, we want to learn about that. I would teach them that so that they got what they came for.
Yeah. But that's a step ahead again of where I want to try to keep this conversation, because that to me is like, well, you already know what you're going to teach them. You've got this fancy book. I'm not there yet. I want to get over that objection for somebody listening who's like, I'm just starting, or I'm an expert and I don't know how to put my course together. So
let's go back to pen pad.
Yeah,
let's go back to the simplicity of it. Let's keep everything simple. What are you going to teach? How much you want to charge? What's it going to look like? And put it out there.
I think a good point of reference here is, remember the first Right Marketing copy?
Yeah, I do.
Okay, so that one is another way of thinking of how to do this. So this was me showing up and just going, here's what's in my head, and I don't even know what I'm going to teach you today. And that and everybody paid me for that. That
was the UMBO.
Right.
That we were on a call a few years ago, and you were like, I just want to share what's in my head about this thing. And it was the out of your butt offer is what you called it. And then you said, okay, I'm going to do it. And it was $49. And you put up, I don't even know what you put up, but I was like, here, I didn't care. Here's the $49, because I wanted to learn I know copy, I know sales letters, but guess what? I didn't care. I gave you $49 because I wanted to know how you did what you do because you do it so well. I'm going to say that again for people listening. I wanted to know how you did what you do because you do it so well. I already know how to write copy. I know how to write sales lists. I know how to do all that. But there was something about the way you did it that I wanted to know. And
Yeah.
again, well, people, that's the imposter syndrome piece. You were like, well, why would a guy like Scott, who writes copy like I do, want to pay me to learn how I do it?
Yeah,
Because you
very true. Because I was totally in the back of my head, like, what is this guy ever going to learn from me? And apparently, you
right,
learned a couple things, which was like,
I
here's the
did.
thing. And but that's the point. The point was like, this is. I just want to share this, and there was no even plan for a product. It was wow. This kind of went over okay. Even though it was a complete mess, but it was like maybe they kind of like these pieces that I can put into a program after that. And even after that, the program, the official program, was still built out one week at a time, 1 week at a time. Well, here are the things they kind of liked on the first thingy. Let me now try to teach this. And that's what I want to stress is with everyone listening that you don't have to have anything in place whatsoever. What's important is what you've been saying all throughout this call is the
Yeah,
importance of your expertise in knowing it and showing up and just being able to talk out of your head. If you have that knowledge, then you could easily put together a quote unquote course that is not perfect, and it's not supposed to be perfect. It's supposed to be broken. It's supposed to be unpolished so then people can challenge you and or ask questions for clarification. I'm not sure, I didn't get that, or what about this, and you may not even have even thought of that. Wait a
right.
minute, right? And that's where it all comes together.
Well, see, okay, Joey, and thank you for bringing that up because I have on my own and with you probably looked at, I don't know how many hundreds of landing pages and websites and evaluated them. Plus, I've read books and seminars and everything on formulas on this about how do you do it from
Yeah.
brilliant people, much smarter than me. But I've taken all that information and I put it in so that when I show up, it's nobody's got that experience that each one of these people has out there. So that when I show up and look at anybody's landing page or they ask a question, the answer that I get to come up with, I get to pull from. Like when you and I do what we do here, we pull from, was like, well, what about Brand Pinfidic? I talked about that today, the 3-minute rule. I was on a call. And what about one to many? And what about Alex Ramosi? And what about? Because we get to pull all that stuff. The person that doesn't know any of that is going to be like, oh my God, this is amazing. It's not going to be, the presentation, the slides weren't that great, and the
Yeah.
imagery didn't just do it for me. It's like, you just gave me that information that I needed that's going to help me, that's going to solve my problem, that's going to change my life, that's going to give me the result I want. Thank God for that. It's not going to be, well, the thing, like I guess we go to a live event. People come on these calls. Last week, transformation in an hour. Somebody came on the call. They were struggling with something. We didn't have a presentation. We didn't have a course. We didn't have anything. And it had nothing to do with the topic, which I still don't even know what the topic was from last week because of what we had. And I want to encourage people to say, look, I'm going to teach this thing and I'm going to put together an offer for you to give me money for the transformational value, the transformational investment. There has to be an investment for transformation. Somebody has to invest some money in order to get the transformation. And I'm going to show up and I'm going to help you do it. And if it doesn't, I'll give you your money back. Simple. Done. And by the way, here's a couple of cool bonuses that I know will help you even more and provide even more value so that I look at it and say, I'd be an idiot not to take advantage of that thing. And
Yeah.
that's it. Keeping it
Yeah.
simple with, again, throw up a Google Doc, get a PayPal. Anybody can get PayPal. PayPal lets you put a button on a page that they can send you money. You don't need to get a thing and a website and a web developer and a CRM and an email marketing system and everything else because Facebook's free and Gmail's free. That's it. Everything that I did was with Facebook and Gmail. Granted, I had Kajabi, but again, I could have just put together a Google Doc, which I did with all the information and the Zoom links and this. And I could have just said, you know what? I don't have anything. Well, okay, I need to talk about these things to get you ready. I could go on Zoom, which is free, and I have 45-minute limit, and I could record some 10-minute things and say, here's some cool things I need you to know, or here's some extra value. And I'm going to go do a Zoom thing, and I'm going to save it, and I'll send you the link. Again, free, 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 easy, simple. And then you get fancy, and then you build a website, and then you get whatever.
Yeah, yeah. This is all again important. I gotta try to keep pulling you back because you're going. You want to say like all the technology stuff is not important, and that you're totally right. I want to try to keep it at the stage of creation.
Okay,
that's the stage. No more above anywhere else.
Okay,
like, how do you create the thing? Not where do you deliver it? How do you deliver it? If you need a button or not, none of that. So I want to know in your head, like, what do you think, so we can help other people at least get that stage done.
It so super simple. What 3 to 5 things? That's it. What 3 to 5 things do you know that you can teach somebody that will help them solve a problem and get a result? That's it.
Right. So 3 things. That's it.
3 things. Write it down and put a price on it and go do it. Cool. And if you use the Brendan, Lorna, Joey method of put it on here, put it on a pad. That's how Brendan did it.
That's see, you can't let go of it. You're going back into the delivery of this. I love you, man. I'm trying to keep you.
That's it. There's 5 things. This was the basis of the program. That's it. These 5 things.
I love it. Think about so let me answer. Let me talk to Netta here. Think about like your process of, and give us some insight on that. That's what I want. So
what's the question?
Netta said, you got Lauren in my head now. Netta said that she did her first seed launch in French, and there was little exercises she added out as an afterthought, and that became the main thing people appreciated, and that's become the basis of the future offer. Yeah, that happens too. You'll find that there's certain things that you didn't think were going to be brilliant, and then it becomes like something you could use in marketing and offers later. For sure. That will always happen. That's why it's best to co-create. And again, trying to keep it at the source of like, here's the 3 things I need to teach, and that's it, because those other things will emerge. Because even if you said, okay, even if you said, all right, the most important thing about a landing page is the one big idea.
Right.
What do you need to know about the one big idea?
Okay.
And that's it. Like you ask the audience, and you're going to get a crap load of stuff coming through that becomes the teaching thing. You don't even have to have the slides. You don't even have to have what you're going to teach. You ask the audience, what is it that you need to know about the one big idea?
And that's what where I was about to go, Joey. Forget about 5 things. Forget about 3 things. What if you just taught one thing?
No, that's not where I was going, Scott. I was saying that if you have your 3 things, okay,
yeah,
and the one thing, yours is the one big idea. That was like kind of meta. You said the first thing you're teaching is the one big idea. So instead of you have 3 things: one big idea, headline, offer, whatever. And you say, okay, guys, here's what we're going to talk about today. These 3 things. Now, for the one big idea, what do you need to know about that? And that's how you present. And then they're going to give you a whole bunch of stuff, and you're going to go, okay, answer. Okay. Hour number 2, we were talking about headlines. What is the challenge with headlines that you have? Boom. You have all these questions, and you answer, and you're teaching. Yeah. And now you have created a course, because then you take everything that they asked. Okay.
See, now you're getting into the delivery and the details. I'm not allowed to, but
it's not the delivery. I'm not delivering. I'm just saying that's how you create. I'm saying that's where like there's nothing created, and because of that, now you're creating with them, And now you've got this layout. So you don't have to have an outline. You have 3 things that you've outlined. That's it. That's what I'm trying to.
You're
So it's
right.
not about the presentation, how you do it, where you do it, whatever.
Oh,
It's like, this is how simple and easy it could be.
and it's as simple as, what are the 3 biggest challenges you're having with blank? And they'll say, well, this, and this. And then you'll be, okay, let me address each of those thingies for you right now. What other questions do you have in regards to that thingy that we just talked about? And that's all. That's what I'm going to do tomorrow. Is that same thing? Is the only reason I put it in PowerPoint was so somebody have something to look at. They don't have to listen to me yapping all the time and watching me, so that they can focus on something. And if they mind wanders off, they can come back to, oh, that's what we're talking about. But going back to it, yeah, Joey, write down the 3 things you want to talk about, and then ask people, what do they need to know about this thing? That's it.
It could start that way. It could be as simple as that. But even if you want, like, you could start there with your outline, right? Like, you do it,
Yeah.
you write it down, and then maybe you ask yourself that question as you're outlining, getting prepared for whatever it is. And you say, okay, well, what is somebody going to ask me? Maybe you ask yourself, what are 3 things that they're going to ask me about this? And then you teach those things, and then you open that up to everybody else.
And
so I think the point really is going into your expertise.
Point, Joey.
Yes. Beta. Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
All the way beta.
You know that I launched alphas, and then I launched betas, and then I went public. So you could even do an alpha and then a beta. And they're going to know
who this is, the Facebook user for the mind maps. I can't see that.
That's Lorna. And she's going to haunt us for years.
Is that who's going to haunt us? Yeah, for sure.
Lorna's going to haunt. That's what she said. First,
Lorna.
But that's okay that's good. But for the people that are struggling with, how do I do this? What do I do? And so Lissandro said, amazing content. I haven't gotten the answer to our question from Lissandro, so that we could help Lissandro to, what is it that you know that others don't know that they need to know? And what do you want to teach them? What do you want to help them solve? And what are the 3 things, or the 1 thing, or the 5 things that you could do? And then decide if it's a mastermind, if it's a course. Again, you talked earlier on the beginning of the call, is how do you put together a group coaching program? You build something and you say, okay, I'm going to get together and help people once a week. I'm going to get on a call and help them. Is there anything complicated about that? Let's.
Well, no, like, you built a coaching program in a week, which is like, it's going to be 2 days, because you're saying this is what I can teach them over 2 days. Or it all came down to you. Like, what do I want to do? And I think that's the most important thing. What fits into my schedule right now? Yes, we have to be flexible with the clients and all that, but what fits into my schedule? Where can I show up that's easy? And that would be my answer to Lissandro, is,
Joey,
where can you show up quickly and easily?
Why do you think I did it from 2 p.m. to 4:45? Why do you think I ended at 4:45?
Because of yoga.
Exactly. Okay. So we're going back to dream life with dream clients. It's like, I'll go to 4:45 and I know I've got an extra 15 minutes if I need to, if I want to stretch it, but I got to go to yoga. Sorry, guys. That's just, I'm not changing what I do and who I am, but I still want to deliver the value. That's why I'm doing it for over 5 hours. And that's a lot.
Right. Yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then all the other, I was going to go into the bonus of you getting on a call with them, but again, I don't want to get into any of that, because that's important too. But I mean, you know what, just for a second, like that, like how you structured that as well is important, because it fits around your dream life. So it's like, I'm going to deliver this value in 5 hours, but I have more value, but it's going to be basically structured around my time, right? They can pick a time to talk with you for an hour or whatever you're doing. I forget what it is, but it's basically, you're opening up your calendar with slots that fit your life.
I ain't even opening up my calendar. They're going to say, when I'm going to be like, when do you want to chat? And I'll be like, okay, we'll do it that day. I don't do a calendar thing in that, but it's going to be, what's good for you? Well, okay, you're over here, you're in this time zone, you're in this time zone. When's good? You know what? I got some time. Let's do it on this day, and that's it. And it'll be messenger and email, and
I'd love to know from people who are listening right now, or even on the replay, how you do it. Like, what is your process? Like, how do you go and outline or structure, or how does your brain work? I'd love to know.
Not
And
only that, Joey, I would like to know what questions they have about what we've been talking about.
yeah, any questions or comments or feedback on what we're talking about here and the structure, like, because again, I see so many people get stuck with this. And one of the, I guess, maybe subconsciously, this is why we're talking about this today, because I see comments about, like, people that are in professor mode to me, that don't want to break away from the way that traditional education has been taught, and whatever they need to have, like, the structure in place, or whatever it is. And I can't even reference it because I didn't graduate high school, so I don't know. But I mean, it has something to do with all that education based thingy that's been taught ever since we stood up and walk on two legs, right? And there's nothing wrong with it. However, there's other ways of doing it, especially in today's world with instant gratification. And I got no time for this anymore. I need what's the answers right now. That's why, with the 3 minute rule, it's so important. Like, well, just tell me the thing so I can get the gist of this in 3 minutes. And if I want to know more, I'll stay. Right. And that's important. And that's why the betas we're talking about, or just the idea of selling the idea and outlining your idea on paper and just saying, here's the thing, do you want to buy this? Would that be of interest to you? And they're like, yes or no. If there's no, then move on, do something else, make another outline. Right. It's that simple. I mind map the topic and break it down into chunks. Very cool. That's got to be Lorna, right? Scott?
Well, that's Lorna again. Yep, she's sharing what she does. Yep.
Have an idea, make some notes, then I just have to start, and it takes all life of its own. Yeah, you're kind of the same way as I am, Monica. That's kind of the way it works for me too. Here's the idea, and that's why I have ideas all over the place, floating around, and I move them around, and sometimes I get into linear and bullet points and that kind of thing. And I also find, I don't know if this happens to you, Scott, but for me, I find I put a lot of stuff in. And I've learned over the years that it's what you leave out that's more important than what you put in.
Say that again.
It's more important about what you leave out than what you put in.
Mm-hmm. You want to expound on that?
Because I get how do I say it? It's I tend to teach a lot of stuff that doesn't need to be there because I just think it's cool.
Right.
And that's all. Like, it's not, I don't want, I'm just, that's what I'm just trying to choose my words. But the words that come to my mind is that fluff, but it's not fluff. It's still really cool. It's not like somebody goes, why did you put that in there? But it doesn't need to be there, is what I'm trying to say. It's like when they learn it and they're like, well, that was cool. But if it wasn't there, they wouldn't miss anything.
Right. Agreed.
So it's not fluff. It opens their mind. But I'm like, does this really need to be there? And so that's where my problem is. It's like we're trying to throw in the kitchen sink, right? Who's this? Oh no, wait a minute. I missed this one. I'm not good with a strict plan. You and me both, Monica. I have to do the first thing and it usually goes from there.
I think there's something before that from Monica. I have the idea.
You were doing something else. You were in another world. We already went through that one. Stick with the plan here.
Okay, good. Thank you. I'll stick with the plan. I'll stay on track here. And I'm not
the
good
multitasking.
I have to do the first thing, and it usually goes from there. With
Who's
almost
this one? Do you know who this is, Scott?
Yeah, that's Angel Hill.
Okay. And
here's
part two.
Part two from Lorna.
You want to read that one?
Then I look at the chunks and create modules or separate sessions, or at least the outline. Then I move the outline sessions around. Then I write the outline more linear, and then move them around again. I prefer to go from outline to offer and not have everything created. I've already wasted too many hours creating full courses no one would buy. I'm going to read that again. I've already wasted too many hours creating full courses no one would buy.
Yeah.
And going back to the beginning here, I took 5 major elements of a landing page, put together an offer, and said, what do you think? And they're like, okay, we'll do it. Let's go.
Here's a thought that just came to mind when you're reading that with Lorna. And I don't know if you feel this way, but maybe someone listening does. It's that I don't know the right word, whether it's panic, I don't want to call it stress, excitement, like a nervous excitement of, getting the course done or something. But I kind of choose my panic or choose my excitement or whatever you want to call it. So I'd rather not be freaked out about, creating the course and then trying to go and sell it, because that's freaking out one way. I'd rather be on the other side where I sold it and then going, now what am I going to, now I got to build this thing. I'd rather, you know what I mean? Like if I had a choice, I'd rather do that. And that's all the time where I'm at. So it's a good level of, again, I don't know the right word, stress or nervous excitement or something like that. So I just want to put that out for anybody.
I like what you're saying, Joey, because when you go create something and spend all that time and hours, weeks, whatever, months, and then you go launch it and it's crickets, and you're like, oh, the disappointment and the attachment to the emotion of the outcome of the I didn't do it, that's huge. And it's like, wait, but if you're like, okay, let me just throw some ideas together and see if it works. And if it doesn't, it's like, okay, no big deal.
Well, sometimes it is a big deal. It's like, holy crap, now I got to actually build this thing. But again, to your point about the betas and the dream clients and everything else, people who just want to know the outcome, it's a little bit easier at that point too, to just go, all right, here I threw this thing together and here's some ideas. What do you think about this? And we didn't even get into the details of the betas, but that's cool because I wanted to keep it on the outline piece. But if I had a choice, it would be that. That's where I want my stress level to be.
Yeah.
Better late than never. I don't know who that is.
That's Angel.
Hey, Angel. I don't know why their names aren't showing up here. Weird. Okay, Lissandro, my superpower is to help poets and sensitive people to go from superficial textual expressions to the more deepness of feelings and awareness in the poem. Okay. So where would the best place for you to teach that be? What kind of an environment is it in, and how fast could you teach it?
And how exactly? How do you want to teach it, Lissandro? What is your best way of teaching that? Is it in a group coaching program? Is it in creating a course? How do you get the most success for people that want that from you? That's the question to ask. And then you can decide, well, it goes back to my program ends at 4:45 so I can go to yoga. And
Right.
I love delivering seminars where I can interact with people. That's my superpower. I don't want to put together a webinar and just bore people to death. I want to get in their face and I want to interact with them and I want to help them because I want to see them and get results. That's why I decided to do a workshop. What do you do best and how do you deliver best so that they get the experience from you? Make sense?
Brilliant. Love that. And I think it has to do also is, in your case, Scott, I think in everybody's case, I think this applies to everyone, is what do you think it's going to take in order for you to transfer your knowledge to someone else? Like, can you, and do you stretch it? Like in your case, would a 4-week course work? Who knows? But you're saying, well, in 5 hours, I could take you from here to there. Correct?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I kind of knew that that's roughly how long it would take me to present the information, interact with people and do it. And that was the best way for me to deliver it. Could I do a mastermind? Yeah. Could I do a coaching program? Yeah. Could I do a monthly thing? Yeah. There's all these things I can do with it because, like you said, there's so much more that
Yeah.
can come. But that's
Yeah. And if you were doing just the regular training, you wouldn't, it would be shorter because let's say you're doing a webinar, then it wouldn't be 5 hours because you're just going to present the information and whatever comes from it comes from it. There's no
right.
interaction. There's no, so those all are elements. Again, we're getting into the weeds of like delivering, but just to answer Lysandra's question, because we don't want to ignore any of the questions, which are amazing, that would be one thing you want to think about. How can I make this transformation happen for them? It's always about who are the people that you can make the transformation happen as fast as possible. That's it. But they have to have transformation. It's not about just about delivering it fast for you. It's about what's the quickest way I can get this information to them into their brain and they can apply it right away. And that'll help you decide whether that's going to be a mastermind or whether it's going to be whatever workshop, right?
Yeah. Again, Joey, it kind of goes to the answers that were given to Lissandro is how do you want to best deliver this information? What works best for you? And get it out there. And the
Yep.
simplest, easiest thing is like we're doing workshops, coaching. Get on with people and say, hey, come join me, come hang out in a Zoom.
So here's the question. I'm struggling to package my knowledge. See, this is what I'm talking about. Like these are the things I've been studying my student problems, and now I'm trying to put all the problems into categories, and that is a lot. This is the point of this whole conversation
Yeah, yeah.
from minute number one. This is what I was trying to get to. Like these are the kind of challenges that are out there. So I don't know if any of this helped you like throughout this process that I don't know how long you've been listening, Lissandro, but um yeah, he's saying coaching group and coaching one-on-one. So let's
Okay, so
address the first.
here's my go back one comment, if you would. Here's my question for Lissandro. He said he's been studying his students' problems, and now he's trying to put all the problems into categories, and it's a lot. Good. What are the three biggest problems they're struggling with? That's it. What are the three biggest problems you're struggling with? You don't need to solve the 48 of them right now, because if you can
That's a good
solve like
point.
3 of them, because that's what are the three biggest challenges you're facing right now in your business, in your life, into this, and let me help you solve them. Then we can tackle the rest of them because you can't solve them all at once. And that's the mistake, Lissandro, is I got to build a course to solve the 782 problems that my target audience has. And it's going to be 497 videos delivered in 87 billion modules on 2 CDs. No, solve the biggest problems first so that they're like, oh my God, that feels better. Now we go to the next and the next and the next and the next and the next instead of, yeah, Lissandra is going to put together all the categories and all the content, and then maybe nobody buys it. Go see if you can solve their 3 problems. Now go to the next slide, Joey, or the next comment, please.
Yeah, it's coaching or group.
So do a group coaching, solve their problems. Say, we're going to, just like I did, I'm going to be covering the 3 biggest problems that poets have in doing XYZ. And I'm starting a group coaching program, and it's this much money, and I'm going to have 10 people join me. Would you like to join me? Would that work for you, Lissandro? And what were the 3 things that you could help them with on a call tomorrow?
Yeah, like group coaching, I can tell you, Lissandro, like I was in the space before of one-on-one coaching, and as recently as what, 2020? It was 2020 when I switched over to group coaching all the way through. And that I can tell you is way more leverage to help more people. And the transformations happen much better because people are learning from each other. And a lot of times we think that we're the only one with the problem. And then when we get into a group with other people who are like, that's me too, that's me too, you're like, oh my God, I'm not an alien. There's other aliens like me. And that makes them feel so much better, and they learn from each other. So I highly recommend anybody listening to get into group coaching. And if you need help with that, by the way, reach out because I can help you with that. Plug for me. um,
You
but at
mean
the same time,
you have a program called Atlas that helps
yes, I
people
do. But
work with dream clients and live a dream life and build a coaching program and not have to stress and do hypey sales and all kinds of crap and funnels and deadline sequences and blah blah blah.
all that stuff, yes. So Lissandro, it's really about like Scott said, teaching those top three things. Like, what are the main categories that you can teach? And even if it's one thing, like that's it. Just teach them that thing, and don't worry about how it looks at all. And he says he's doing it. The live froze. I've got it back. Okay, one to many is awesome. Thank you. I don't know who this is. I'm so proud of you, the work you do. Thank you. Whoever that is, thank you. Love you. I wish I could see the names, but I cannot see the names. So there we go. Another.
One to many is Angel. Monica said it froze. She got it back. And Angel said, I'm so proud of you and the work you do, Joey. Yeah, I'm proud of Joey too.
Thank you both. It's amazing. All right. I think we nailed this one. We hit it out of the park. And
I think we
thank
did.
you. Thank you for letting us get into your brain, even though I had to pull you back multiple times, but that's my job.
I'm glad to pull me back.
It's just that's our nature, bro. We want to share so many things, and that's sometimes it's like it's a curse. It's like, just tell me this thing, and that's what I've had to learn over trying to teach Atlas or even write marketing copy, is going into the depths of the world, because everything's related. Well, if I teach them this, it relates to this. Oh, let me go on this, and we go down these rabbit holes.
Yeah.
Where I think that's a huge thing that everyone needs to really understand, and getting away from even what Lissandra said, like, because we're all like there. Like, I know I can fix all these problems, but you just overwhelm people, and it's better to solve one problem, and then they're like, this is amazing. What else can I do? Like, what's the next step? And if they don't want to know the next step, that's fine. You solve the one problem for them. But most people would want to know what the next step is. And that's not marketing, how do I upsell people and make more money? No, you're actually moving people along the momentum. What's the number one problem with self-paced courses, Scott?
It's overwhelming, way too much.
And they don't get through them, right?
No, nobody consumes. Dan said, and you overwhelm yourself. It's overwhelming. Again, it goes back to, well, I'm going to give you the first 3 chapters of my book. The thing I looked at today was, I'm going to give you a 50-minute video. 50 minutes? You're lucky if I'll watch a minute video. 50? It's got to be like how to make $1 billion in the next 30 minutes, guaranteed. Maybe I'll watch it, but I doubt it, because I wouldn't believe it. I'd call BS to it. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's people buying like all the thing. Like, this is amazing because it's got all this stuff, and then never get past module number 2.
No.
It's like, I don't need this. It's just too much information, and they want to get to the result quickly. So that's why it's so simple when you outline things, because it's like, what am I being asked all the time? Go teach that. Put it on a pen pad and go and turn on Zoom, or no. Yes. Now you want the structure of how to do it? Pen pad it. Go sell it. Turn on Zoom. Look at your pen pad. Talk. Done.
That's it. Done. Finished. Period.
Done.
You want to create a course? Create a mini course. Go do it that way. That's it.
Done.
This and that, and I would spend the week doing an animated video program. Right now, it's like, okay, I'm going to talk to you about this one thing right now. Just the same thing we do. Here's a topic. Let's go. That's it. Done. We could take 118 things and turn it into a program, which we might do.
You never know.
Never know. Okay.
All right, man. Appreciate you. It's
top of the
hour, as always.
Awesome. Top of the hour, as always.
It was amazing. This was going to be a funny one to go and watch back. So,
yeah.
But yeah.
By the way, for those of you that don't know, on Friday at 12 noon Eastern Standard Time, 9 o'clock Pacific Standard Time. Joey will be going live on sharing how to attract dream clients to your business on Kajabi. Definitely show up. There's hot seats. Like, you get a hot seat and Joey will fix your problems right then and there.
Thank you for that. And props out to Kajabi and the team. I should have given them props for that. Like, they are amazing over there. If you're not in the Kajabi group or thinking about Kajabi, they don't pay me to say this, but they're just amazing. Just an amazing tribe to not only bring the information to their tribe, they totally care about their tribe, which is amazing. And I'm so honored to be part of that journey. So yeah, if you are in Kajabi, join us over there and we'll talk about dream clients and attracting them. So thank you for reminding me that, Scott.
You are very welcome. And Lissandro said he's working on the #1 problem and he will show up, and thank you. Doing it excellent. Looking forward to it, Lissandro, to see your results. Get it out there. Go for it. Do it. Transformation in an hour once again, Joey Ragona.
The replay for non-Kajabi, no.
No, really? I thought I would make it, but it's not my company. So
yeah, it's because of the depth that we get into on the calls, and they want to keep it within the people who are giving permission to share their stuff on that call. And so to go outside and share it with the world is
makes sense.
It's just privacy reasons. Yeah.
Cool. Okay. Yeah, you're right.
All right. We will see you next week.